This episode focuses on the movement of the ransom note and John and Patsy's notepads. John Ramsey directed Officer Rick French through the house and pointed out a 3-page handwritten note which was laid on the wooden floor just west of the kitchen area. John told French that his wife had found the note on the bottom step of a spiral staircase which led to the upper levels of the house. John Ramsey's friend, John Fernie, rushed over to the Ramsey's house after being called, and he parked in the back alley and came up to the back door, a glass door, and he saw the 3-page note lying on the floor there. At some unknown time, Officer Rick French moved the 3-page ransom note to the bottom of the stairs. Then, at approximately 6:45 a.m., a crime scene police officer took a photograph of the note on the stairs. Officer Carl Veach took the ransom note into evidence and then drove it to the police station at 7:15 a.m. Detective Linda Arndt was presented with the ransom note at the police station at about 9:30 a.m., and she had 3 copies made. 1 copy went with her, 1 copy went with Detective Patterson, and 1 copy was placed in a sealed envelope and left on her desk. Detective Arndt and Fred Patterson arrived at the Ramsey residence at 8:10 a.m., and she talked to John Ramsey about how to handle the incoming ransom call and asked a lot of questions about what happened the night before and early and what happened in the morning. At some point that morning, John Ramsey told one of the police officers that he took photographs Christmas morning, and the image that's on the screen right now is one of the photographs that John Ramsey took, and it shows one of the notepads sitting on the glass table in the hallway by the spiral stairs. Now here's a photograph of the same area taken by a police officer where the notepad isn't there anymore. Somebody has moved it or taken it away. Now here's a side-by-side view of the December 25th photo and the December 26th photo, and you can kind of play that game of what is missing. And the things that I notice is that plastic bag, for some reason, was back against the wall and is now moved up to the bottom of the stairs. And then there's a little basket there that wasn't there before. The notepad is no longer there. And for some reason, John Ramsey's photograph is taken from a lower angle, and the police photograph is from a higher angle, looking down. Now in Detective Steve Thomas's book, it states that John Ramsey gave one of the detectives a notepad off the kitchen countertop and one off of this glass tabletop in the hallway. Now in John Douglas's book, The Cases That Haunt Us, which basically plagiarizes Detective Steve Thomas's book, except when it wants to tell a different narrative. And what I like about this book is it's basically what John Ramsey told John Douglas. Whether John Ramsey was lying to him or telling the truth. But in the book, it states that the notepad in the hallway is John Ramsey's notepad, sample handwriting, and the notepad in the kitchen is Patsy's notepad. Now, a detail that a lot of people don't know about, before he handed over these notepads, John gave him a sample of his writing where he just wrote down on a piece of paper, "Now is the time for all people," which is a church song. A few minutes later, Detective Cathcart returned to the room to show me something in the notepad which had been identified as Mrs. Ramsey's handwriting sample. There were 2 or 3 pages of writing. Then there was a page which was written in a felt marker that stated Mr. and Mrs. or which matched the same type of writing in the ransom note. It was obvious that some pages prior to this page had been torn from the notepad. John Ramsey discovers his dead daughter's body in his wine cellar just after 1. Was the ransom note written in the kitchen? Did an intruder write the ransom note in the kitchen? Did Patsy write the ransom note in the kitchen and tear it out of her notepad and hand it to John Ramsey, who placed it on the floor before they called 911? Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and be looking forward to another episode soon. Kind of a double feature. So I'll see you the next time.